On the Dou Qi Continent, 8 years had passed since the battle between the Flame Emperor and the Soul Emperor. In those 8 years, Central Plains, once scarred by war, had not only recovered completely but entered an even greater golden age. Countless geniuses and monstrous talents emerged one after another, displaying their brilliance across the vast land and writing legends of their own. At the same time, sects sprang up like bamboo shoots after rain. The old powers that had once dominated Central Plains, the one tower, one hall, 2 sects, 3 valleys and 4 pavilions, had mostly faded into history. Aside from forces such as Burning Flame Valley and the Pill Tower, the rest had long since been replaced by stronger and newer factions. Heroes and overlords carved up the land, and Central Plains once again entered an era of prosperity and flourishing power. And yet, no matter how dazzling this age had become, everyone in Central Plains still knew that the land remained under the shadow of one colossal power. It was simply that this behemoth no longer interfered in the disputes of Central Plains. Its responsibility had long surpassed this region alone. It now stood watch over the stability of the entire Dou Qi Continent. Because within that giant force, the Tianfu Alliance, sat a Dodi, the only Dodi of the age, the Flame Emperor Xiao. The headquarters of the Tianfu Alliance was none other than the former Falling Star Pavilion. Once a sect that had hidden itself deeply, it had now become even quieter and more mysterious, buried beneath endless forests. With a few casual methods from a Dodi added on top of that, even a Dousheng would never be able to find it. That moment, deep within Falling Star Pavilion, inside a massive ancient hall, a handsome young man in black sat cross-legged. Not a single trace of aura leaked from his body, and yet the few Dousheng present still felt their hearts tremble with awe. Xiao flicked a hand over his storage ring and swiftly swallowed several Tier 8 medicinal pills that restored Dou Qi. Pale color on his face faded slightly, and some redness returned. Then he turned to Guyuan and the other 4 and said, "Seal the surrounding space. I'll try to draw some of the Origin Emperor Qi out." The 4 of them were briefly stunned, but quickly understood. They flashed downward and cast a spatial seal, shielding everyone below. Xiao drew in a deep breath and began forming a strange sequence of hand seals, leaving behind layer after layer of afterimages. A moment later, the suction force surged. A large mass of Origin Emperor Qi was pulled from the black hole. Xiao body shook, and the Origin Emperor Qi transformed into tiny fragments that seeped into the Dou Qi and the air itself. Several high-level Dousheng immediately sensed that the air around them had gained something new. After drawing out nearly 10 portions, Xiao found that he could no longer pull any more. He could only shake his head and stop. That moment, the eyes of all Central Plains, and even the entire continent, were focused on this stretch of heaven and earth. When they saw the vast waves of Dou Qi rising, their expressions changed drastically. Shock was the only thing left in their hearts. "Everyone, I've managed to guide out some Origin Emperor Qi. In the future, the chances of reaching Dodi will be higher." As he spoke, Xiao looked once more at the spatial black hole and murmured, "If fate allows, we'll meet again in another world." Then he turned to the other 4 and asked, "Ready?" All 4 smiled and nodded. The 5 Dodi slowly flew toward the black hole. Just as they were about to enter, every member of the Tianfu Alliance shouted in unison, "We respectfully send off our alliance leader." Yun, Little Fairy Doctor, and the others gazed at the man in black standing in the sky, their eyes filled with reluctance and sorrow. "The Xiao clan respectfully sends off its patriarch." Xiao and countless experts of the Xiao clan hovered in the air, kneeling on one knee. At the same time, thunderous cries rang through Central Plains. "The ancient Void Dragon tribe respectfully sends off Lord Dragon Emperor." "The Gu clan respectfully sends off the clan leader and young lady." Yao Lao, Xiao Zhan, and the others looked at Xiao their hearts overflowing with pride and reluctance. "Boy, work hard. When this old bag of bones becomes a Dodi someday, I'll come over and take a look. By then, I hope you'll already be thriving in that place," Yao Lao said with a smile. The 5 of them entered the spatial black hole. Looking at the endless black void ahead, Xiao softly said, "Let's go." I wonder what that world is like. Gu Yuan and the other four smiled and nodded. Xiao Yan was just about to move when his heart stirred. The glazed emperor flame, formed from 23 different heavenly flames, burst out and wrapped around all 5 of them, becoming a wall of strange fire. In an unknown world, caution was only natural. Then the 5 of them set off, shooting toward the end at full speed. Inside the spatial black hole, the concept of time was extremely vague. Xiao Yan and the others had no idea how many days they had flown. The scenery around them remained pitch black. The only change was that the origin Emperor Qi was gradually growing denser. Sensing this, the 5 of them felt a surge of excitement and pushed their speed even further, disappearing like 5 streaks of light into the darkness. Some time later, a bolt of lightning slowly appeared. After flying for who knew how long, Xiao Yan instinctively sent heavenly flame into his eyes and looked into the distance. Suddenly, he saw a faint trace of light. His eyes lit up at once and he said excitedly, "I can see the end!" The other 4 were overjoyed. Had they finally reached it? After flying for so long, even they, now Dou Qi, felt a trace of exhaustion. "Let's rest for a while. Once our strength recovers, we'll head straight to the end." The 4 nodded. Xiao Yan was just about to hand out recovery pills when an invisible attack suddenly shattered the wall of heavenly flame. All 5 instantly moved from their original positions. The point where the attack had landed caused the space there to tremble faintly. Xiao Yan stared darkly at the place it had struck. Even the 5 of them together could only make this space shake slightly. And yet a single attack from this hidden figure had made it ripple so easily. The strength of this mysterious being was definitely far beyond theirs. The moment the attack fell, a shrill voice rang in their ears. "I never imagined that the Dou Qi Continent would produce 5 Dou Qi at once. Truly unbelievable. But since you've trespassed into my territory, the domain of the 9 Nether Emperor insect, no matter how many Dou Qi you are, you will all stay here for this emperor." As the voice echoed, a figure slowly emerged from the darkness in the distance. Xiao Yan stared fixedly at this black-haired man with an eerie demonic air and said in a low voice, "Senior, what do you mean by this?" Inside this mysterious spatial black hole, blocked by an unknown expert, even Xiao Yan could not help but feel a trace of unease. The man let out a cold laugh. His eyes burned as he looked at the 5 of them, and his hoarse voice sounded beside their ears. "What I mean? Humph. I've waited here for nearly 10,000 years, and not a single Dou Qi has appeared. I was bored out of my mind. I finally encountered one once before, but that brat turned out to be born of flame, and I accidentally let him escape. Now the 5 of you, if I devour you all, I will definitely break through." The expressions of Xiao Yan and the others changed drastically, and their gazes toward the 9 Nether Emperor insect became filled with fear and vigilance. Gu Yuan clenched his teeth and said, "Are you saying all the Dou Qi from the Dou Qi Continent were devoured by you?" The 9 Nether Emperor insect gave a cold snort and sneered, "If I'm full, naturally I let some weaker ones go. But you 5? I don't want to let even one of you escape." Xiao Yan also snorted coldly, and a vast surge of Dou Qi burst from his body. Seeing this, Gu Yuan and the other 4 roared as well, and in an instant 5 immense auras rose into the void. Feeling the abundant Dou Qi within him, Xiao Yan slowly clenched his fists and said, "Senior, it would be best if you did not attack us. Otherwise, we will not sit and wait to be captured." The 9 Nether Emperor insect burst into laughter and shook his head disdainfully. "Humph. 4 pieces of trash who haven't even reached the middle stage of 1-star Dou Qi, and 1 2-star Dou Qi. You still dare oppose me?" As he spoke, he stepped forward. Pressure he released was 100 times stronger than Xiao Yan's. Destruction Flame Body. The very instant that pressure spread, Xiao Yan activated Destruction Flame Body and hurled a fire lotus straight at the 9 Nether Emperor insect. The moment the fire lotus flew out, a gigantic illusory soul figure of Xiao Yan opened its mouth wide and unleashed 3 blasts of Huangquan heavenly fury in a row. Carrying terrifying speed, they instantly caught up to the fire lotus and slammed toward the Nine-Nether Emperor insect with destructive force. He had barely reacted when the attacks had already reached him. His mocking eyes looked at those fierce incoming strikes, and the Nine-Nether Emperor insect grinned savagely. With a shout, he swung out his right fist, carrying the force of 10,000 mountains as it collided with the fire lotus. The beautiful dark green lotus lasted only for a brief instant before vanishing into nothingness. After destroying the lotus with one blow, he turned his fist into a palm. Dark Dou Qi formed a transparent barrier before him. Boom! 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 The three soul attacks struck the barrier one after another, and the deafening explosions echoed through everyone's ears. Seeing that trembling shield on the verge of collapse, Xiao Yan's expression remained dark. A flash of resolve passed through his eyes. His aura suddenly changed, turning blazing hot. Then he raised both hands above his head, and a terrifying presence quietly spread out, one so powerful that even Zhu Kuan and the others changed expression. This guy is really that strong? He's forcing Xiao Yan to use his most powerful move already, Zhu Kuan said in shock. Gu Yuan looked grimly into the distance. The light barrier there was already close to breaking apart. He slowly exhaled and said, Zhu Kuan, Kai Lin Suna, let's give it everything we have too. This fellow may be even stronger than we imagined. The three of them silently nodded. Kai Lin let out a cold laugh and said, Good. I haven't truly tested the power of a Dou Di yet. Suna smiled brightly. Sister Kai Lin is right. If we fight together with brother Xiao Yan, 5 Dou Di can definitely defeat this bug. Zhu Kuan and Gu Yuan exchanged bitter smiles. Then the four of them also raised their auras to the limit and looked toward Xiao Yan, who slowly opened his eyes. Xiao Yan's black eyes calmly gazed at the unharmed Nine-Nether Emperor insect in the distance. The latter looked back at him and grinned viciously. Xiao Yan smiled faintly as well. He exhaled softly, then suddenly shook both hands. In an instant, a giant flaming ruler hundreds of feet long took shape, radiating such terrifying power that even Gu Yuan and the others turned grave. This eternal heavenly flame ruler is several times stronger than when he sealed Hun Tiandi. Xiao Yan really has surpassed us in the end, Zhu Kuan sighed. Nine-Nether Emperor insect, try this move of mine. Xiao Yan roared. The moment his voice fell, he thrust both arms forward, and the giant flaming ruler tore through the dark space ahead, smashing down viciously toward the Nine-Nether Emperor insect. Kid, you really do have quite a few ultimate moves. But this one still isn't much of a threat to me. The Nine-Nether Emperor insect gave a long howl, and astonishing dark Dou Qi gathered in both his hands, turning them pitch black. Excitement flashed through his eyes. Little thing, watch carefully. I'll show you how this emperor breaks your strongest move. The giant flaming ruler came down whistling through the air, but the Nine-Nether Emperor insect stood unmoving. When the ruler was just about to reach his head, he shouted and thrust both hands upward, catching it firmly. Vast dark Dou Qi surged through his palms into the ruler, crazily corroding it. Xiao Yan's eyes sharpened. His seal changed, and the giant ruler trembled slightly. Then, under the expectant gaze of everyone present, it exploded with a thunderous burst and transformed into a sea of fire that swallowed the figure of the Nine-Nether Emperor insect. Dou Di. This was the might of a Dou Di. And in all the world, the only person whose mere pressure could make Dou Xing tremble was the Flame Emperor, Xiao Yan. This moment, Xiao Yan took a long breath and opened his eyes. Sharp flames flashed across them, and then he lifted his head to look toward the top of the Great Hall, as though those deep eyes could see through the entire world. I can feel it. In at most 1 month, that mysterious summoning force will appear. The moment he spoke, the several Dou Xing beside him all changed expression. Yenner, what do you mean? Asked one plainclothes middle-aged man, his eyes flickering as he spoke eagerly. Xiao Yan slowly closed his eyes and said, Father, I think the mystery behind the disappearance of all Dou Di from the Dou Qi Continent comes from that force. Gu Yuan's expression changed as he looked at Zhu Kuan beside him. The The same shock and uncertainty filled Zhu Kuan's eyes. Xiao Yan smiled faintly and said nothing more. Instead, he looked straight ahead, as if he wanted to take in every inch of the Dou Qi Continent one last time. 1 month later. Central Plains. Tianfu Alliance. The top of the sky-piercing tower, Xiao Yan sat cross-legged in black robes, his aura calm and steady, as if he had become one with heaven and earth. Below the tower, countless experts had gathered, all staring up at him with blazing eyes, filled with nearly fanatical reverence and admiration. Do you think what Xiao Yan said is true? Guyuan looked at Xiao Yan atop the tower and asked Zhu Kuan. Through a slight pause, Zhu Kuan replied, "It shouldn't be wrong. The ancient records of my ancient void dragon tribe also mention the disappearance of Dou Di from our clan. Otherwise, what do you think could possibly kill a Dou Di on this continent?" Guyuan nodded. Their Gu clan had also produced more than one Dou Di in history, and all of them had vanished mysteriously in the end. Looking at it this way, Xiao Yan's words truly did make sense. Suddenly, strange phenomena appeared in the sky. Everyone looked up at once. The heavens above turned black as ink, and then a ring of light slowly appeared, transforming into a spatial rift. The aura faintly spilling out from within made everyone present tremble in shock. As the spatial black hole in the sky grew larger and larger, a trace of firelit excitement flashed through Xiao Yan's eyes. His fists slowly tightened, and even his heart grew restless. Nearly 10 years of peaceful life had gradually dulled his battle-loving nature. But now, as he looked at that endless black void, the aura pouring from it made his blood boil once more. This Origin Emperor Qi? Zhu Kuan and Guyuan felt the aura filling the sky and suddenly realized that the Dou Qi within their bodies, stagnant for so many years, had begun to stir once more. The two exchanged astonished glances, trying to calm their racing hearts. When they looked back at the black hole again, their eyes were full of burning excitement and joy. They leaped into the air, but when they were still several zhang away from the black hole, they were both blasted back. What's going on? Xiao Yan was also startled. Watching Guyuan and Zhu Kuan charge toward the black hole again, he could only smile bitterly. Then he slowly rose into the sky, flashed once, and arrived before the black hole. Stretching both hands out, he shouted and seized an invisible mass of energy. Xiao Yan was instantly blasted dozens of meters backward by the recoil, and a thread of blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Whoosh! Whoosh! 2 graceful figures appeared in the sky and caught him from either side. "Brother Xiao Yan, are you all right?" Suna asked urgently. Xiao Yan shook his head. His gaze fell on his own hands and his eyes filled with delight. A moment later, he pushed the invisible energy toward Kai Lin and Suner. Both women were at the peak of 9-star Dosheng. The instant they absorbed that invisible energy, the Dou Qi in their bodies began to grow like madness. Watching the aura of the 2 women multiply several times over, Xiao Yan chuckled. This Origin Emperor Qi really was a wonderful thing. Then, under the gaze of countless eyes, he once more charged toward the spatial black hole and seized more Origin Emperor Qi, sending it separately into Kai Lin, Suner Guyuan, and Zhu Kuan. After Xiao Yan had pushed 5 or 6 masses of energy into Guyuan, Guyuan's body suddenly froze. But in the next instant, an overwhelming aura erupted from him, shocking everyone in the square. At the same time, Zhu Kuan also erupted with a world-shaking aura, causing all those below Dosheng to spit blood, while even ordinary Dosheng found it hard to breathe. When the heavenly phenomena faded, the aura of the 2 men had become almost equal to Xiao Yan's. Everyone present except Xiao Yan stared in utter disbelief. TW2 new Dou Di had been born. The entire square fell silent. For thousands of years, not a single Dou Di had appeared. And yet in just a few short decades, 3 had ascended in succession. It was almost impossible to believe. Crowd remained speechless. Zhu Kuan and Guyuan felt the vast, immeasurable Dou Qi surging within them, and smiles bloomed across their faces like flowers. They had longed for the realm of Dou Di for thousands of years. After enjoying the flow of Dou Qi in their bodies for a while, the two of them opened their eyes and cupped their hands toward Xiao Yan in the sky. "Little friend Xiao Yan, we will remember this favor." Xiao Yan smiled. The two seniors simply had the right fortune arrive. Then, ignoring the burning gratitude in their eyes, he turned to the two women and said softly, "The two of you are also at the peak of Dou Qi now. You should be able to advance to Dou Di as well." Two women were stunned at first and then overwhelmed with joy. To become Dou Di was the greatest possible outcome for them. First, it meant becoming supreme beings under heaven. Second, if Xiao Yan was going to another mysterious world, then if they too became Dou Di, they could continue to stand by his side. They were just about to nod when they noticed the slight paleness in Xiao Yan's face. "Brother Xiao Yan, you're hurt," Sinner said worriedly. Xiao Yan waved it off. "I'm fine." The moment he finished speaking, he turned into a streak of light and charged at the spatial black hole once again. As time passed, the barrier around the black hole suddenly shattered soundlessly, and a terrifying spatial force swept outward. Xiao Yan's expression changed slightly. Looking down at Zhu Kuan and Gu Yuan, he said, "Seniors, let's attack together. The suction force of this space is getting stronger and stronger." Zhu Kuan and Gu Yuan nodded, stabilized their bodies against the space storm, and rushed toward the black hole. Both of them clenched their hands, seized a mass of Origin Emperor Qi, retreated, and then pushed it toward the two women. Bang! That exact moment, Suna's aura surged explosively. The whole world changed color. Wind and clouds roared, twin suns shone in the sky, and after the heavenly phenomenon faded, the fourth new Dou Di of the Dou Qi Continent had been born, Empress Sun. Kai Lin advanced to Dou Di shortly afterward as well. The four of them all exhaled at the same time. This Origin Emperor Qi was truly domineering. In just a single day, it had pushed 4 peak Dou Qi into the realm of Dou Di. If Origin Emperor Qi could be brought back into the Dou Qi Continent, then in the future perhaps even more Dou Di would be born. For Kai Lin and Suna also stepped into Dou Di, Xiao Yan looked at the Origin Emperor Qi floating in midair, his eyes shining with a golden light. Boom! The very instant the eternal ruler of heavenly flame exploded, Zhu Kuan's aura changed as well, and he reverted to his true form. A giant dragon more than 1,000 feet long instantly filled the entire space. Its indifferent gaze swept across the raging sea of fire, golden light bursting from its body as an even larger dragon phantom condensed behind it. With a roar that shook the heavens, it plunged straight into the flames, triggering a deafening explosion. The giant dragon let out a low groan, and its body instantly shrank by a full circle. The next moment, a crystal-clear ancient mirror flashed into a streak of emerald light and shot into the sea of fire before everyone's eyes. Right behind it came a golden giant palm hundreds of feet wide and 9 bolts of deep violet lightning. These 3 attacks, carrying ripples of death, slammed into the flames. Through unleashing their strongest attacks, Xiao Yan and the others all stared ahead with grim expressions, watching as the fire slowly died down. Everyone knew that if this round failed to seriously wound the 9 Nether Emperor worm, then what came next would be far from encouraging. The flames went out, but the smoke had yet to clear. From within the haze came the 9 Nether Emperor worm's cold laugh, and everyone's heart sank. They exchanged glances and all saw the same dread in each other's eyes. Not bad. You actually managed to make me feel some pain." The 9 Nether Emperor worms stepped out of the smoke. His clothes were in disarray, his chest charred black, streaks of blood running across his face and one eye leaking dark black blood. Wiping his face, he suddenly snarled, "Now you will bear this Emperor's wrath." The moment the words fell, his figure trembled. At almost the exact same instant, Xiao Yan, who had been observing the battlefield with his soul power the whole time, abruptly changed expression. His pupils shrank to needlepoints as he shouted, "Uncle Zhu, be careful!" Before his voice had even fully fallen, the 1,000-foot dragon formed by Zhu Kuan let out a miserable cry. The 9 Nether Emperor worm had appeared beside him without warning and blasted him away with a single punch, dragon blood spilling all along his path. Xiao Yan's eyes filled with shock and fury. He watched as the afterimage of the 9 nether emperor worms slowly faded in the distance, and waves of astonishment rose in his heart. Just how terrifying was this creature's strength? In this mysterious space, he was actually moving fast enough to leave behind an afterimage. Kai Lin stepped to Xiao Yan's side. Even her cold, proud voice carried a trace of helplessness. What do we do? This thing is too strong. The 5 of them had joined forces and used all of their greatest trump cards, yet they had only managed to inflict a light injury. For someone as proud as Kai Lin, that sense of powerlessness was naturally infuriating. A sharp light flashed through Xiao Yan's eyes as he muttered, "Snakes and worms are e'en by nature. What they fear is fire and lightning." As he spoke, he flipped both hands. A strange pink flame appeared in one palm, while the Heavenly Thunder Rage Flame, ranked 18th on the Heavenly Flame list, appeared in the other. Xiao Yi Maximum Flame Power. Burn him for me. With a cold shout from Xiao Yan, the pink flame transformed into a 1,000-foot sea of pink fire and surged toward the 9 nether emperor worm. Looking at the sea of fire crashing toward him, the 9 nether emperor worm gave a cold laugh. Still playing? Fine. Then I'll play with you to the end. He casually waved his hand, and the towering sea of fire slowly dissipated into nothing. Xiao Yi reappeared on Xiao Yan's left hand and cried out angrily. Xiao Yan could only sigh. Purifying demonic lotus flame was the most destructive flame on the heavenly flame ranking. If even it could not do the job, then there was no need to think about the others. Steeling himself again, he looked up at the 9 nether emperor worm, only to see the latter cast him a look full of contempt and mockery, as if he were a cat toying with a mouse. Xiao Yan clenched his teeth, and with a thought, the Heavenly Thunder Rage Flame instantly transformed into a giant lightning net 1,000 feet tall and shot toward the 9 nether emperor worm. A flicker of change crossed the monster's face, and Xiao Yan caught it at once. So you are afraid of lightning? He let out a cold laugh, and the power of the Heavenly Thunder Rage Flame rose to its limit once again. This emperor may fear lightning, but a flame of this level is nowhere near enough to threaten me. With an angry roar, the 9 nether emperor worm shouted, "9 nether burst!" The moment his voice fell, countless poisonous spikes shot out from behind him and rained down on the lightning net like a torrential storm. The net began trembling violently at once, white smoke hissing everywhere. Xiao Yan's throat turned sweet, and blood spilled from the corner of his mouth as his body was blasted thousands of feet backward. Yet before the 9 nether emperor worm could retract his attack, 3 razor-sharp strikes arrived in an instant. He only had enough time to form a wall of poison behind him. Bang! Bang! Boom! The 3 attacks crashed against the poison wall in succession. The first 2 barely held it in place, but after a violent tremor, the wall vanished into nothingness. The 3rd beam slammed directly into the 9 nether emperor worm's back. Puffed! Although he had blocked Xiao Yan's earlier attacks, the hidden force within them had not yet fully dispersed. Sooner's strike detonated that remaining force all at once. Blood mixed with fragments of internal organs burst from the 9 nether emperor worm's mouth. A bunch of ants dare injure this emperor? Feeling the waves of weakness spreading through his body, the 9 nether emperor worm roared with bloodshot eyes. He stamped on the void, and the ripples from that single step blasted Gu Yuan and the other 2 several hundred feet away. Ignoring their weakened states, he shattered the lightning net binding him and charged straight at Xiao Yan. Little bastard, die. He arrived in the blink of an eye, throwing a vicious punch straight at Xiao Yan's abdomen. Such close range, Xiao Yan had no time to react. Seeing the savage look in the monster's eyes, destruction surfaced on Xiao Yan's face as well, and his body slowly began to swell. But before he could self-destruct, he suddenly saw the 9 nether emperor worm get blasted backward instead, blood spraying all along his path. Xiao Yan immediately looked down at his own abdomen and cried out in shock, "9th mysterious golden lightning!" The 9 nether emperor worm flew backward hundreds of feet before forcefully stopping himself. He swallowed the blood rising in his throat and stared fixedly at the golden little thunder dragon less than 10 feet long in front of Xiao Yan. Ninth mysterious golden lightning? Wasn't it extinct long ago? That moment, the ninth mysterious golden lightning was still in the form of a small golden dragon. Strands of lightning crawled over its body, faint rumbles sounding from within. First rubbed affectionately against Xiao Yan, then locked onto the 9 Nether Emperor Worm's aura and let out a dragon's roar. An invisible lightning net instantly trapped the worm. The golden dragon roared again, and before the astonished eyes of Xiao Yan and the others, its body shook and expanded into a massive golden dragon no smaller than Dou Qi. The dragon moved, appearing before the 9 Nether Emperor Worm almost like a teleportation. Its claws, carrying the roar of thunder, slashed down violently. The 9 Nether Emperor Worm was horrified. With an enraged roar, he too returned to his true form. A black giant worm of comparable size appeared in the sky. Its huge body writhed, breaking free from the lightning net, then twisted once to dodge the dragon's strike. The 9th mysterious golden lightning gave a low growl and lunged after it. Then both vanished. Suner and Kai Lin were startled, not knowing what had happened. But Xiao Yan and Gu Yuan both possessed D-tier souls, and Xiao Yan was the continent's #1 alchemist. The invisible clash between the 9th mysterious golden lightning and the 9 Nether Emperor Worm was perfectly clear to them. Boom! A violent collision rang out. The 9th mysterious golden lightning was now covered in wounds, its body shrunk to nearly 1/3 its former size, yet it still stared fiercely at the 9 Nether Emperor Worm. Though the worm was also covered in injuries, it was clearly in better condition. Ha ha! You only barely count as a 1-star Dou Qi. To this emperor you are not much of a threat. If you were a 2-star Dou Qi level 9th mysterious golden lightning, then today I might really have died here. After hearing this, the 9th mysterious golden lightning fell silent for a moment. Then it suddenly roared at Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan was still baffled when Xiao Yi seemed to sense something. It nodded with a soft cry, slipped free of Xiao Yan's control and shot into the air. In an instant, flames soared from its tiny body as it transformed into the glazed lotus core flame and rushed into the 9th mysterious golden lightning, merging with it. Right before the stunned eyes of Xiao Yan, the others, and even the 9 Nether Emperor Worm, a golden-haired boy slowly appeared. His entire body was wrapped in heavenly flames, and on his chest was a faintly trembling golden dragon mark. His face was exactly Xiao Yi's, but every gesture he made leaked a terrifying power of thunder that shook the heart. The golden-haired boy raised his head, grinned at the 9 Nether Emperor Worm and said, "Is this enough now?" The moment the words left his mouth, his figure disappeared. The very instant the boy vanished, the 9 Nether Emperor Worm roared in rage and twisted his enormous body to the side with all his speed. Almost simultaneously, a vast surge of lightning energy blasted into the space he had just vacated, sending black ripples through the surrounding void. Before he could even react, another palm strike carrying the force of wind and thunder came howling down and smashed into his massive body. Under Xiao Yan and the others' stunned gaze, the 9 Nether Emperor Worm let out a miserable scream, and its enormous body was blasted into nothingness in an instant. Only a gigantic, hideous head remained, roaring in pain. Xiao Yan could hardly believe what he was seeing. He turned to look at the others. Gu Yuan, Zhu Kuan, Suner, and Kai Lin were all utterly dumbfounded. Xiao Yan could not help but marvel inwardly. The 9th mysterious golden lightning could actually merge with a heavenly flame, and after the fusion its strength had become so terrifying. Judging from that power, it was not just slightly stronger than the 9 Nether Emperor Worm. It was in an entirely different league. After roaring in agony several times, the 9 Nether Emperor Worm looked at the boy with endless terror and dread in its eyes. It opened its giant mouth and spewed out a wave of pitch-black poison before fleeing deeper into the space at full speed. The golden-haired boy smiled faintly and raised his right hand. A strange pink flame burst forth, burning through the poison like boiling oil poured over snow. In moments, the poison vanished without a trace. Then he looked toward the direction the 9 Nether Emperor Worm had fled. With a soft snort, a dragon's cry that seemed to pierce the soul rang in everyone's ears. The next moment, he stepped forward. 1,000 feet vanished in a flash, and within a few breaths he appeared directly in front of the fleeing worm. The 9 Nether Emperor worm saw him appear and panic flooded its eyes. Its giant head swayed as it tried to flee in another direction, but the boy only smiled and stepped forward, pressing both hands onto the huge insect head. Heavenly flames surged from his body and enveloped both himself and the giant head. Then he softly said, "Die." The next instant, both the boy and the 9 Nether Emperor worm vanished within the heavenly flames. Only a little golden dragon could be seen slowly fading away in the fire, disappearing together with the worm's earth-shaking roar. Xiao Yan was already rushing over at top speed. When he was still 100 feet away, he heard the 9 Nether Emperor worm's final scream. All 5 of them were startled. Xiao Yan swept the area with his soul power and then shouted in delight, "The 9 Nether Emperor worm is dead!" As soon as he spoke, Xiao turned into a pink beam of light and flew back from afar, landing on Xiao Yan's shoulder. Xiao Yan lifted it up and saw that Xiao looked utterly exhausted. "Xiao, are you all right?" he asked urgently. Xiao barely managed to shake its head. Then it pointed at the little golden dragon mark on its chest and babbled a few words. Before Xiao Yan's astonished eyes, it turned back into flame and returned to his body to rest. The moment Xiao disappeared, a transparent green pearl appeared in Xiao Yan's left hand. "What dense Dou Qi!" Feeling the aura radiating from the pearl, Xiao Yan could not help crying out in shock. Could this be the 9 Nether Emperor worm's stored Dou Qi? He thought for a long time but could not figure it out, so he put the pearl into his storage ring and flew back. When he returned, Sooner and the other 4 were waiting anxiously. Seeing Xiao Yan come back safe, they all let out a breath of relief. 3 told them everything that had happened. Xiao Yan took out several recovery pills, and the 5 of them began healing once more in the silent black void. No one knew how much time passed before a dragon's roar came from Zhu Kuan's mouth. Stretching his body, he cursed. That 9 Nether Emperor worm was too strong. It was countless times stronger than even Tuasha ancient god. Xiao Yan and the other 3, who had already recovered, could only smile bitterly and nod. But that boy formed from the fusion of the 9th mysterious golden lightning and the heavenly flame was even stronger. What exactly was going on? Xiao Yan shook his head. He had asked Xiao the same thing, but even Xiao could not explain it. It only knew that the thunder dragon mark on its chest had greatly amplified its energy, making the power of its heavenly flames far stronger than before. Even the power of the mystic yellow flame now rivaled what the Golden Emperor Heaven Burn Flame used to be. Forget it. We can think about that later. We have no idea how much time has passed. We should keep moving, Guiyuan said as he looked at Xiao Yan, who had fallen into thought. Xiao Yan came back to his senses and looked out into the endless void ahead. A trace of burning excitement rose in his eyes again, and he nodded. Father is right. Let's move. With that, he turned into a streak of light and shot forward. Guiyuan and the other 4 exchanged glances. They all saw the same fiery anticipation in each other's eyes, smiled and followed after Xiao Yan as streams of light. Though the 5 streaks flew at incredible speed, within this endless black hole of space they still seemed as slow as turtles. No one knew how many days passed before the darkness around them was slowly replaced by light. Then a gigantic gate of light, millions of feet tall, appeared before them. Within the gate floated 3 massive golden characters. Gate of transforming into an emperor. Feeling the vast and terrifying power pouring from within the gate, Xiao Yan took a few deep breaths to steady his trembling heart and muttered, "Gate of transforming into an emperor, what does that mean?" Guiyuan looked to one side of the gate and saw several lines of ancient, majestic writing. He read aloud, "Gate of transforming into an emperor. Reforge the body and soul and in one leap become a dragon. Cast away mixed Dou Qi, receive immortal Di Qi. With immortal power, one may enter the great world." After hearing this, Xiao Yan and the others all looked at each other in surprise, then turned toward the inside of the gate. Golden light churned there, purple energy shimmered, and countless strange colors reflected outward. Sooner suddenly frowned slightly and said, I understand. If we want to enter the world beyond this gate, then we must pass through it. Once we enter the gate of transforming into an emperor, the Dou Qi inside our bodies will be converted into Dou Qi. Only then can we enter that world. She smiled sweetly, a beauty almost capable of sinking fish and toppling cities. Then she turned to Xiao Yan and added, and with Dou Qi, fighting above our level will probably become much easier. Gu Yuan and the others instantly understood. Thinking back to their battle against the 9-nether emperor worm, the 5 of them had gone all out and still failed to inflict serious damage. So that was why. The worm's Dou Qi had contained traces of Dou Qi. Though it had not been pure, it still far surpassed ordinary Dou Qi. Xiao Yan nodded slowly. Back then, as a Dou Wang, he had forcibly defeated Yun Shan, who was a Dou Zong. Now, even though he and the 9-nether emperor worm had been in the same realm, the battle had still been so difficult. The stronger one became, the harder it was to challenge above one's level, and that only made the gap between Dou Qi and Dou Qi even clearer. So once we enter, our Dou Qi disappears? Zhu Kuan asked with a frown. He had lived for thousands of years. To him, the Dou Qi inside his body was almost his life itself. The thought of it suddenly vanishing left him uneasy. Xiao Yan smiled faintly, his eyes burning hot. If that's the case, then we go in. Once we pass through this gate of transforming into an emperor and become true Dodis, then forget 9-nether emperor worm. Even if something 100 times stronger than him appears, we won't fear it. As soon as he finished speaking, he charged toward the gate. Gu Yuan, Kai Lin and Sooner hurried after him. Zhu Kuan gritted his teeth and followed them in as well. The instant they stepped through the gate of transforming into an emperor, endless light wrapped around all 5 of them. For a brief moment, each of them felt their bodies go weak, as though the most important part of themselves had been forcibly stripped away by some irresistible power. But in the next instant, a source energy that made even the soul tremble filled every part of their bodies. All 5 felt a stronger, purer power arise from deep within. The power of a true Dou Di. While the 5 of them were immersed in the exhilaration brought by that power, the 5 strands of Dou Di-level Dou Qi stripped from their bodies absorbed some of the pure Dou Qi and then shot back toward the Dou Qi Continent at a speed invisible to the eye. Dou Qi Continent. A full year had passed since Flame Emperor Xiao Yan, Gu Yuan, and the others had broken through space and left. During that year, because the continent now possessed some of the source Dou Qi Xiao Yan had once captured, many powerful experts experienced explosive progress in cultivation. Compared to a year ago, the overall level of strength on the continent had risen by a great deal. Within the Tianfu Alliance, at Falling Star Pavilion, Yao Lao and Xiao Xiao were inspecting a new batch of disciples who had just entered the pavilion. These disciples were all geniuses from across the land, so Yao Lao was fairly satisfied. Looking over the thousands of spirited young disciples gathered in the square, his deep voice, laced with powerful Dou Qi, rang in their ears. You are all geniuses, and Falling Star Pavilion is a place meant to nurture geniuses. I won't say much more. Within 1 year, any disciple who has not broken through to Dou Huang should leave on their own. Without caring about the shock on the faces below, he turned to leave. But suddenly his expression changed. He looked up at the vast sky, his gaze stirring slightly. Xiao Xiao also looked upward. After a moment, joy suddenly flooded her delicate face. This is the power of Source Dou Qi. And it's so dense. It must be Father and the others, right? Yao Lao pressed his lips together, his eyes growing moist as he murmured, Little fellows, you succeeded, didn't you? The next moment, he suddenly turned back and shouted to the disciples below, who were still confused. The entire Dou Qi continent now has enough Source Dou Qi. Cultivate with all your might. Within 1 year, anyone who has not reached Dou Zone will leave automatically. What dense Source Dou Qi! That very same moment in the Yen clan, the Lei clan, the Pill Tower, the Gu clan, the Xiao clan, and the ancient Void Dragon tribe, all of the Douxings and even the Douzuns sensed the Source Dou Qi. Almost every old Douxing on the continent was so moved that tears filled their eyes. the path to the Emperor realm is finally within reach. It's the Flame Emperor. He succeeded. Waves of overwhelming joy echoed through every corner of the continent. When the exhilarating surge of power finally subsided, Xiao Yan slowly opened his eyes. He felt the abundant Source Emperor Qi flowing through his body, and at that moment, he was certain that if he were to fight the Nine Nether Emperor insect again, he might not be able to kill it, but he could definitely leave it gravely wounded. He looked around and saw Guiyuan Zhuquan and the others nearby. They too were gradually opening their eyes. As they sensed the immense Source Emperor Qi within themselves, overwhelming joy burst into their gazes. So this is the true power of a Dou Qi. It is absolutely intoxicating. Now I finally understand why all the Dou Dis of the Dou Qi Continent shattered space and departed, Guiyuan said, his voice trembling with excitement. Compared to the strength we had on the Dou Qi Continent, this is the power a Dou Di should truly possess. Zhuquan also said excitedly, Brother Gu is right. I can even sense an even stronger Source Emperor Qi beyond that light gate. This is exactly what a Dou Di needs for cultivation. Hearing the excited words of Guiyuan and Zhuquan, Xiao Yan turned toward Kai Lin and Sooner and smiled faintly. He took both their hands and looked toward the shimmering light curtain ahead, his eyes filled with soaring battle intent. In a bold and spirited voice he said, Father, Uncle Zhuquan, let's go. This great world is where we truly belong in battle. As soon as he finished speaking, Xiao Yan let out a long cry and rushed into the light curtain with the two women, whose beautiful faces were equally filled with excitement. Just before entering, heavenly flames rose from Xiao Yan's body and formed a protective barrier around himself, Kai Lin and Sooner. Guiyuan and Zhuquan also burst into laughter. Guiyuan's body became covered in a layer of white light, while Zhuquan's body was wrapped in countless golden dragon scales. The two exchanged a smile and also charged into the gateway leading to the great world. Through all five of them entered, ripples spread lightly across the light curtain, then it quickly returned to stillness. This endless expanse, along with the Emperor Transformation Gate, stood there in silence. No one knew how much time passed before an aged voice suddenly echoed through the space. There is actually a fragment aura here as well, but it is far too weak. It is of no real use. The moment the words fell, the entire space violently shattered, splitting open into a million zhang-long void. Even the Emperor Transformation Gate began to shake violently, as though it could not bear the weight of that single sentence. The ancient voice let out a soft sound of surprise, then the sound of someone blowing gently followed. In an instant, the space restored itself as though nothing had happened, and the Emperor Transformation Gate stood steady once more. If this space were destroyed, those little fellows from the small world would have quite the mess to deal with. The ancient voice chuckled softly, then sighed. There is nothing in that tiny place related to the fragment either. Forget it. Tua Shi. Through that, the space returned to silence again. Only deep within the giant Emperor Transformation Gate, there seemed to remain a trace of purple gas, tiny as a grain of dust. A flash of light passed before Xiao Yan's eyes. When he opened them again, what greeted him was an enormous plaza stretching as far as the eye could see. Above the plaza were several black hole-like vortices hundreds of zhang high. Xiao Yan and the others turned to look behind them and saw that above them there was also a giant black vortex, with 4 golden characters written upon it, Dou Qi Continent. Xiao Yan took a deep breath, and immediately felt a dense stream of Source Emperor Qi entering his body, resonating with the Emperor Qi within him. He stared at this world in shock and murmured, So this is the world that truly belongs to a Dou Di. While the 5 of them greedily breathed in the air of this new world, a soft laugh sounded from above. Xiao Yan quickly looked up and saw a white-haired old man descending to the ground, his face full of astonishment as he stared at them. Sensing the immense pressure radiating from the old man, Xiao Yan was startled and was just about to speak when the old man impatiently asked, You are from the Dou Qi Continent? When Xiao Yan and the others nodded, the old man cried out in shock, How is this possible? How is this possible? I heard the Dou Qi Continent has not produced a Dou Di in nearly 10,000 years. How did 5 appear all at once today? As he spoke, he kept sizing them up, the astonishment in his eyes growing stronger and stronger. Under the old man's unrestrained gaze, Sooner and Kai Lin both blushed faintly. Xiao Yan coughed lightly and cupped his fists. Senior. The old man came back to himself, laughed heartily, and said seriously, "This old man is Su Feng, the overseer of this region. I am responsible for receiving newly arrived Dou Dis." The 5 of them hurriedly returned the greeting. Senior Su. Su Feng stroked his long beard and looked at Xiao Yan, Sooner, and Kai Lin with satisfaction, nodding repeatedly. Good, very good. For the Dou Qi Continent to produce 3 geniuses like you is truly unbelievable. Xiao Yan replied modestly, Senior Su flatters us. Su Feng smiled and flicked his finger, sending 5 rays of light toward them. This is a scroll introducing the great world. Take your time to read it carefully. If there is anything you do not understand, you may ask me. After thanking Su Feng, Xiao Yan and the others sat down together. Heavenly flames rose from Xiao Yan's body and wrapped around the 5 of them before he poured his soul power into the scroll in his hand. What a cautious little fellow! Su Feng smiled faintly. Then he noticed the flames surrounding them and muttered after a moment of thought, "What a peculiar flame! It resembles the Chaos Emperor flame, yet not quite." The instant Xiao Yan's soul power entered the scroll, countless streams of information surged into his mind. He immediately shook with soul force, scattering the overwhelming flood of knowledge, then began reading with curiosity. Boundless and endless. Those were the first 4 words written on the first page of the scroll. Those 4 simple words alone instantly made Xiao Yan feel just how vast and immeasurable the great world truly was. He sighed inwardly and continued reading. The great world was divided into 10 domains. The central domain in the central heavens, the star-moon spirit domain in the starry heavens, and the bright flame divine domain in the divine heavens were the 3 strongest domains. The sacred domain and heavenly domain within the sacred heaven realm were the 2 most mysterious. As for the barbaric domain and forest domain in the eastern wastelands, they were filled with endless danger. The war domain and nether domain of the northern world were mysterious lands packed with powerful races. Lastly, there was the spirit domain in the southern heavens, where countless races fought for supremacy. By the time he finished reading the scroll, Xiao Yan's heart remained unsettled for a long while. In the great world, Dou Di was merely the beginning. Above Dou Di existed even more powerful beings. Those were the ones worthy of being called true experts. As expected of the great world. Xiao Yan licked his lips, incomparable determination gathering in his eyes as he murmured, "This is exactly what I have been longing for." When he opened his eyes, his heart was filled with excitement. He looked towards Sooner Kai Lin and the others. The 4 of them were still immersed in the scroll, but traces of excitement and longing were already visible on every face. Xiao Yan withdrew his gaze and pulled back the heavenly flames surrounding them. Su Feng appeared at the right moment and looked at him with a smile. Well? The great world is the true stage for the strong. The lower worlds are merely a backdrop. Xiao Yan exhaled slowly. There was a faint tremor in his voice that even he could not completely suppress. As expected of the great world. Just a few lines of introduction were enough to reveal a boundless and overwhelming presence. While the 2 were speaking, Sooner and the others also rose to their feet, their eyes full of excitement and yearning. Guyuan looked around, then respectfully asked Su Feng, "Senior, according to the scroll, the great world has 10 domains. Which domain does this place belong to?" Su Feng smiled. "I almost forgot to tell you. This place is a special space created by heavenly venerate experts specifically to receive Dou Dis who ascend from the lower worlds. It is called the New Emperor Realm. Can be considered a minor dimension. This particular one is located in the forest domain. Every domain has many such spaces." After a pause, Su Feng pointed at the space around them and continued, The plaza before you may seem vast and endless, but in truth it is only several dozen zhang wide. What you are seeing is an array formation. Beyond the array lies the true new emperor realm. As he spoke, Su Feng took out a jade pendant and injected a thread of source emperor qi into it. Pendant immediately shone brightly. In the next moment, the endless space before Xiao quietly collapsed, revealing an actual plaza before them. It was large, and several wooden cabins stood all around it. These cabins were built by various factions. In the great world, those factions can be considered mid-level powers. Their sects generally possess one or two heavenly venerate experts, and they stay here year-round to recruit newly arrived Dou Dis. My advice to you is this: since you are new here, it would be best to join a sect first. After saying this, Su Feng lightly pressed the jade pendant, and after a flash of light, his figure vanished. Join a sect? Xiao glanced at the others and thought for a moment. Father, Uncle Zhu, what do you think? Gu Yuan pondered for a while, then sighed bitterly. To be honest, I do not really want to join one. Zhu nodded beside him. Suna smiled and said, Father and Uncle Zhu have held positions of power on the Dou Qi Continent for too long. I suppose they do not want to join a sect as junior disciples and take orders from others. With Suna exposing their true thoughts so directly, both Gu Yuan and Zhu turned red with embarrassment. Kai Lin also spoke. I agree with Father. Rather than becoming some underling taking orders from others, it would be better to go out and make our own way. Xiao nodded as well. It was not merely a matter of pride. More than that, it was the confidence and imposing spirit born of being a Dou Di, a kind of supremacy that made them unwilling to bow their heads. This was a common trait among Dou Dis from the lower worlds. Especially for people like Xiao and the others, who had risen step by step on the Dou Qi Continent, a land lacking source emperor qi, where every bit of progress had been won through their own struggle. Because of that, their sense of dignity and pride was even stronger than that of Dou Dis from other worlds. Brother Xiao, why don't we join that academy instead? Just as the group fell silent, Suna suddenly spoke. The five of them looked in the direction she pointed. In the northeast corner, beside an ordinary wooden cabin, stood a bluish stone slab over a person's height tall. On it were carved 4 ancient and forceful characters, Yun Luo Academy. Xiao was instantly delighted. The word academy carried enormous meaning for him. His path as an expert had begun in an academy, and in the end it was also from within an academy that he had obtained the treasure that allowed him to advance to Dou Di. Father, Uncle Zhu and Kai Lin, we can join that academy. Based on my experience, academies should be relatively free places. Apparently understanding that this was the best outcome, Gu Yuan and the others had no objections and all nodded in agreement. The 5 of them entered the small cabin of Yun Luo Academy. The room was tiny, containing only a white-robed old man and an ancient wooden table. Hearing someone come in, the old man, who had been dozing off, immediately sat up straight. Looking at Xiao and the others, his face lit up with joy. Welcome, little fellows. Are all of you here to join Yun Luo Academy? His gaze swept over the 5 of them like a hungry wolf, his face full of delight. Yes, Xiao replied, feeling rather speechless. He had barely arrived in the great world and had already met 2 old men, both of them rather strange, both staring at their group with the same odd look. The moment he heard Xiao confirm it, the old man was overjoyed. He asked for their names, then projected their images into a white jade pearl before standing up and pulling 5 scrolls from the table. He tossed one to each of them. Seeing the confusion on Xiao face, he smiled and explained, since the founding of Yun Luo Academy, there has always been one rule. Every newcomer who wishes to join must complete a form of training. Only those who meet the requirements are accepted. The blank scrolls in your hands were personally made by the academy head. Once you fully immerse your minds into them, the scrolls will assess your intelligence, soul, and overall qualities, then determine what trial each of you must complete. Following the old man's instructions, Xiao and the others closed their eyes and immersed their minds into the blank scrolls. Through a while, Kai Lin's scroll was the first to erupt with 6 rays of light. Then Suners did the same. The old man nodded secretly. Soon after, Zhu Kuan and Gu Yuan's scrolls almost simultaneously released 7 rays of light. The 4 of them opened their eyes, looked at the radiant scrolls in their hands, then turned toward Xiao Yan, who still had his eyes tightly shut. For quite some time, Xiao Yan's scroll still showed no reaction at all. The old man's eyelids twitched. Could it be? Before the thought could fully form, Xiao Yan's scroll suddenly burst forth with 10 beams of light. Brilliant radiance instantly filled the entire room. The old man's face was first overcome by utter shock, then quickly turned into wild ecstasy. His excited voice was almost a shout. A Saint-Tier trial. It is actually a Saint-Tier trial. The old man's gaze toward Xiao Yan immediately turned burning hot with excitement. Xiao Yan opened his eyes and could not help asking, "Senior, what is a Saint-Tier trial?" The old man forcefully calmed himself and explained, "The trials of Yun Luo Academy are divided into 4 levels. 3 rays of light indicate a low-tier trial, 6 indicate a mid-tier trial, 9 indicate a high-tier trial, and 10 indicate a Saint-Tier trial. In the past 100 years, among all the Academy's new recruits, fewer than 10 have ever reached the Saint-Tier standard. Yet you, little fellow, have done it too." Xiao Yan himself laughed in surprise, then looked at the scrolls in the other's hands. "Senior, how are we supposed to undergo these trials?" The old man smiled faintly. "'Cause yours is a Saint-Tier trial, the other 4 are accepted directly. Only you will complete your Saint-Tier trial alone. That is the privilege of a Saint-Tier candidate. The Academy head once said that anyone who reaches the Saint-Tier standard already proves their own strength." Kai Lin frowned and said displeased, "What is that supposed to mean? Do you think we cannot complete our own trials?" Xiao Yan stepped forward, took Kai Lin's hand and smiled. "Kai Lin, this is the great world. For us, with our strength still so weak, danger is everywhere. The earlier you enter the academy, the earlier you can improve your strength." Kai Lin snorted softly and said no more. Suner frowned. "But it sounds like a Saint-Tier trial is extremely difficult. Won't Brother Xiao Yan face great danger too?" Xiao Yan smiled gently. "Suner, trust me. Besides, I need this tempering. On the Dou Qi Continent, I have been idle for far too long." The old man watched their conversation with a smile. Once Xiao Yan had finished, he said, "Little fellow, a Saint-Tier trial is not merely dangerous. It also requires tremendous fortune and luck. Open the scroll and see what the requirements are." Xiao Yan released Kai Lin's hand and tore open the scroll. 10 beams of light instantly vanished, replaced by several floating golden words. Saint-Tier trial. Time limit 15 years. Requirement 1. Obtain 5 mid-tier heavenly beast cores. Requirement 2. Obtain 10 million emperor crystals. Requirement 3. Win the highest honor in any single competition within any prefecture. Looking at those few short lines, Xiao Yan nearly felt dizzy. What kind of trial was this? These were simply impossible conditions. The first requirement was 5 mid-tier heavenly beast cores. Those were equivalent to emperor-level beasts, terrifying existences that could dominate an entire region. Any one of them was probably stronger than Su Feng and this old man before him. Asking for 5 cores meant he had to kill 5 emperor-level magical beasts. With his current Dou Di strength, he might not even know how he died. Of course, he could buy them, but a single emperor-level heavenly beast core was surely worth over 1 million emperor crystals. Buying 5 of them was clearly just a fantasy. The second requirement was even more absurd. 10 million emperor crystals. Emperor crystals were the common currency of the Great World and also contained some source emperor qi, making them a basic cultivation resource. But he had just arrived in the Great World. Where was he supposed to get 10 million emperor crystals? That amount was practically equivalent to the total wealth of a small sect. The third requirement was even more terrifying. To earn the highest honor in any one competition within a prefecture. The great world was divided into 10 domains. Each domain was then divided into a number of prefectures, and each prefecture into commanderies and commanderies into cities. To win the top honor in an entire prefecture was a task harder than ascending to heaven. Xiao Yan gave a bitter smile and pointed at the scroll. Senior, this is not a joke, is it? How could anyone possibly complete this? The old man gave him a teasing smile. Do you know how rich the reward is if you complete a Saint Tier trial and return to the academy? Xiao Yan shook his head blankly. The old man pointed at Sooner and the others. Just those 4 alone would be able to enjoy the same I receive in the academy. My strength is emperor level, and in Yunluo Academy I hold the position of a 3rd-rank elder. Cultivation resources I enjoy there are far superior to those of ordinary instructors, not to mention regular students. As for you, you would directly gain the privileges of a 2nd-rank elder. There are only a little more than 10 2nd-rank elders in the entire academy. You should be able to imagine just how valuable that status is. After hearing this, Xiao Yan's heartbeat instantly accelerated. He swallowed hard, and his resolve immediately began to waver. Of course, the old man continued. Saint Tier trials are incomparably difficult, especially the final requirement. Even I might not be able to complete it. In the past 100 years, Yunluo Academy has accepted hundreds of thousands of students, yet only a little over 10 have reached the Saint Tier trial standard. Of those who actually completed the trial and safely returned to the academy, the old man raised 2 fingers. Only 2. One of them left the academy over 50 years ago, and his achievements now are so great that even I can only look up to him. The other, if you can complete the trial and return within 12 years, you may perhaps still get the chance to meet him. Xiao Yan could only smile bitterly. Meet him? Right now, whether he could even survive and complete the requirements within 15 years was still unknown. Brother Xiao Yan's eyes were full of worry as she tightly gripped Xiao Yan's arm. Zhuquan said, "It is too dangerous, Xiao Yan. We can complete our own trials." After thinking for a while, Xiao Yan suddenly smiled and looked at Sooner and the others. You all work hard and cultivate well in the academy. When I return, do not let me surpass you by too much. Then he turned to the old man and cupped his fists solemnly. I ask that Senior please look after them. The old man laughed loudly. You are a Saint Tier candidate. Their treatment in the academy will absolutely not be poor. Rest assured, I understand. Just as Xiao Yan let out a breath of relief, the old man flicked a crimson scroll toward him. By academy rules, this is the Emperor technique assigned to you. Because you are a Saint Tier candidate, we can only give you a low-grade Emperor art. Xiao Yan caught the scroll and could only smile bitterly. Emperor techniques were divided into Emperor arts, Emperor formulas, and Emperor laws. Each level was further divided into 4 grades. This low-grade Emperor art was the very lowest rank of all. This Saint Tier trial truly was absurdly difficult. If it had been any other trial, he would probably have received at least a mid-grade or even high-grade Emperor art. Before him stretched a boundless forest. Looking up, it seemed the entire sky had been covered by endless trees. No one knew how long this great forest had existed. It was unimaginably quiet, with only the sound of the wind rolling through the leaves. Suddenly, a ripple shook through a patch of space. Layers of waves spread outward. In the next instant, the space slowly cracked open into a narrow fissure, and a figure dropped out of it. Just before hitting the ground, the figure steadied himself and barely managed to land upright. The moment he landed, Xiao Yan immediately summoned heavenly flames to protect himself. Only then did he look around, unable to help smiling bitterly. The Saint Tier trial really is monstrous. It actually starts me in the forest domain. The forest domain lay to the east of the Star-Moon Spirit domain. Vast beyond measure, it was filled with countless dangers. Although the domain map given to him by the Academy Elder showed the light representing his position almost touching the border of the Star-Moon Spirit domain, the true distance in reality was enough to make one's scalp go numb. Can I even make it there in 15 years? Xiao Yan sighed, but then his eyes quickly hardened with determination. Feeling the restless Source Emperor Qi stirring within him, he smiled. No matter. Since I have already begun my journey through the great world, I should first focus on raising my strength. Through becoming a Dou Qi, he had remained on the Dou Qi Continent for several decades. His Dou Qi foundation had long since stabilized. Then, after being cleansed by the Emperor Transformation Gate, he had already begun to sense signs of another breakthrough. After running through the great forest for half a day, Xiao Yan finally found a rather hidden cave. Dense trees surrounded it, and wild grass as tall as a person nearly concealed the entrance. Xiao Yan nodded in satisfaction. Although his emperor-level soul had been heavily suppressed in the great world, he could still clearly perceive everything within 100 meters. He entered the cave. It was not large, but it could hold 1 or 2 people, likely a small beast's abandoned den. Inside the cave, Xiao Yan easily used heavenly flame to carve out a huge boulder and seal the entrance, leaving only a few tiny holes for air. He clapped the dust from his hands, flicked out several fire beads to light up the cave, then sat down cross-legged. Although Source Emperor Qi would be much thinner inside the cave, this was still the safest option. Xiao Yan had no intention of arriving in the great world only to end up in the belly of some magical beast. He adjusted his breathing and quickly entered a cultivation state, forming cultivation seals with both hands. Soon, strands of Source Emperor Qi rapidly began flowing towards Xiao Yan. As they passed through the purifying demonic lotus flame on the surface of his body, all of them were refined into the purest form of energy before entering him. Since advancing to Dou Qi, it had been many years since he had enjoyed such effortless and satisfying cultivation. Xiao Yan could not help letting out a soft breath, then focused his mind and began controlling the Source Emperor Qi entering his body. But not long after, he froze. The Source Emperor Qi entering his body vanished before he could even refine it. Xiao Yan refused to believe it and tried several more times, yet the same thing kept happening. The Source Emperor Qi entered his body, then disappeared without a trace. His heart immediately jolted with alarm. What is going on? Could it be that I did not fully succeed when passing through the Emperor Transformation Gate? Xiao Yan was burning with anxiety, panic rising inside him. Just as he was growing frightened, his brows suddenly twitched. He hurriedly closed his eyes and let his soul descend inward, carefully sensing the changes within himself. Very soon, a page of dark red text appeared within his consciousness. Characters trembled constantly like flames. It was the cultivation method Xiao Yan had always practiced, the flame mantra. That moment, thread after thread of Source Emperor Qi was appearing from nowhere and wildly pouring into those mysterious characters. Every time a strand entered, all the words trembled slightly, and the dark red color seemed to undergo a faint change. Xiao Yan was startled and muttered, "Flame mantra, what is happening to you?" Though deeply astonished, he was no longer afraid. It was not that he could not absorb Source Emperor Qi at all. Rather, every bit of Source Emperor Qi entering his body was being devoured by the flame mantra. Seeing that the flame mantra was absorbing Source Emperor Qi faster and faster, Xiao Yan took a deep breath and immediately focused with all his heart on drawing in even more Source Emperor Qi. Once, the amount pouring into the flame mantra increased dramatically. When all the text in the cultivation method changed from dark red into an indescribably pure crimson, the entire page suddenly trembled and released thousands of scarlet gold rays of light, forcing Xiao Yan to shut his eyes at once. Then the scarlet gold light faded away, and Xiao Yan suddenly felt an indescribable sensation, as if the flame mantra he cultivated had finally become something that truly belonged to the great world. The flame mantra, it has become an emperor-tier cultivation method. Feeling the energy fluctuations now contained within the flame mantra, Xiao Yan's eyes widened in shock, and he nearly shouted the words aloud. In the great world, cultivation methods were ranked from low to high as Emperor Tier, King Tier, Venerable Tier, and Saint Tier. Each tier was further divided into low, middle, high, and peak grades. Although the flame mantra had only advanced to a middle-grade Emperor Tier method, Xiao Yan was still utterly stunned. Could it be that the flame mantra was connected to the great world from the very beginning? Xiao Yan shook his head. That was not something he could figure out right now, no matter how much he thought about it. But the fact that the flame mantra could evolve was undoubtedly a good thing for him. At the very least, he no longer had to worry about changing cultivation methods. Even if a middle-grade Emperor tier method was still considered low in this world, it was incomparably better than any Heaven tier method. And now that he could finally refine the Source Emperor Qi entering his body, there was only one thing left to do. Break through as soon as possible. After calming the excitement stirred by the evolution of the flame mantra, Xiao Yan closed his eyes again and formed a seal with both hands. Now that the flame mantra had reached the level of a mid-tier D-class technique, his speed in absorbing Origin Emperor Qi was several times faster than before. Very soon, the Origin Emperor Qi around the small mountain cave began rushing inward. Even the huge rock at the cave entrance cracked open with lines of fracture. Vast amounts of Origin Emperor Qi were purified by the purifying demonic lotus flame before entering Xiao Yan's body. Under the control of his mind, all of it flowed into the small cluster of reddish-gold light in his dantian. That tiny mass of light was the Origin Emperor crystal, condensed from the lump of Origin Emperor Qi formed when all of his Dou Qi had transformed while passing through the Emperor Transformation Gate. As the pure Origin Emperor Qi poured into it, the crystal grew at a speed too subtle for the naked eye to notice. At the same time, it released waves of refined Origin Emperor Qi that spread into Xiao Yan's meridians and bone marrow, strengthening his body from within. Through several decades, Xiao Yan once again felt the thrill of his strength increasing. About half a day later, the amount of Origin Emperor Qi flowing into him began to slow. By then, his skin had turned reddish gold, veins bulged along both arms, and the energy released with each breath made dust continuously fall from the nearby mountain wall. His aura rose and fell unevenly, a clear sign that he was about to break through. Ha! Xiao Yan clenched his teeth, and all of his aura suddenly vanished. In the next instant, a far stronger presence than before burst out from him. Cave walls on both sides were hit by the impact, and chunks of stone rained down non-stop. After a while, the fierce aura gradually faded. Xiao Yan opened his eyes, and a flash of reddish-gold light slipped through his dark pupils. He moved slightly, and the sound of bones cracking echoed endlessly through his body. Rising to his feet, he felt the surging Origin Emperor Qi within him and smiled. So, the years I spent on the Dou Qi Continent were not wasted after all. At the very least, they gave me an incredibly solid foundation as a Dou Di. Breaking in one leap from 2-star Dou Di to the early stage of 3-star Dou Di was exactly what I expected. Through a brief sigh of emotion, Xiao Yan took a red scroll out of his storage ring. It was the beginner emperor art given to him by the elder from Yunluo Academy. He played with it for a moment and exhaled softly. His strength could not improve much more in a short time, so the only way to become stronger now was to cultivate emperor arts. He tore open the scroll. The surface was covered with densely packed words that seemed to move like dragons and snakes in motion. The top were 3 large crimson characters, Flame Dragon Rush. Just as Xiao Yan was about to read further, he noticed a smaller line beside them. Those who cultivate this emperor art are best advised to be above 5-star Dou Di. His face darkened at once, and he nearly cursed aloud. Above 5-star Dou Di just to begin learning it? Even if this was because of the Saint trial, it was still absurdly harsh. 5-star Dou Di was not something one could just become overnight. Was he supposed to rely only on the heaven-class Dou skills he already knew before reaching that level? Although all the Dou Qi in his body had been transformed into Origin Emperor Qi, which should make the power of his heaven-class Dou skills much stronger, they were still far inferior to even the most basic emperor art. Against truly powerful spirit beasts, they would be even less useful. Frowning, Xiao Yan thought for a moment. Then he flipped his palm, and a jade bead filled with dense Origin Emperor Qi appeared in his hand. It was the bead he had obtained after killing the 9 Nether Emperor insect. The only difference now was that the Dou Qi inside it had all been transformed into Origin Emperor Qi when it passed through the Emperor Transformation Gate. Who knew how many years the 9 Nether Emperor insect had existed inside that mysterious spatial passage? Yet even in such a place, it had managed to become a 3-star Dou Di, and after that it had even fought with the ancient Emperor Tuasha. It had probably lived for at least 10,000 years. Over such a long span of time, it must have encountered no fewer than 10 Dou Di who had ascended from the Dou Qi Continent. Even if some escaped, the amount of Dou Qi it had devoured over the years had to be astonishing. But it could only absorb a small part of it. Most of the Dou Qi remained beyond its ability to refine, so it condensed within the insect's body into this jade bead. After the bead fell into Xiao Yan's hands and passed through the Emperor Transformation Gate, all that vast Dou Qi became Origin Emperor Qi. Feeling the rich energy contained within it, Xiao Yan murmured to himself, "Seniors of the Dou Qi Continent, the 9 Nether Emperor insect has already fallen. I have avenged you." The moment he finished speaking, a faint trace of Emperor resentment drifted out of the jade bead, then vanished. Sensing that resentment dissipating into the air, Xiao Yan muttered, "After years of bitter cultivation, you finally became Dou Di only to die on the road to the great world. No wonder your hearts were filled with endless hatred." He let out a sigh, sat down cross-legged again, placed the bead before him, and entered cultivation once more. Before long, the bead seemed to answer some kind of call and began spinning rapidly. With each rotation, a visible stream of Origin Emperor Qi separated from it and entered Xiao Yan's body. Because the Origin Emperor Qi within the bead was already incomparably pure, there was no need for the purifying demonic lotus flame to refine it further. It all flowed directly into his Origin Emperor crystal. Soon, Xiao Yan's aura began to rise slowly. Mid 3-star Dou Di, late 3-star Dou Di. In the end, he was completely wrapped in dense Origin Emperor Qi, and his aura climbed like a rocket. Cave walls on both sides split open with countless spiderweb cracks, while endless sharp stones fell from the ceiling overhead. Yet Xiao Yan sat there as steady as an old monk in meditation, letting the pointed rocks slam against him without moving in the slightest. Mid 4-star Dou Di, late 4-star Dou Di. When his aura reached another peak, a fierce torrent of energy erupted from his body and blasted outward. The giant boulder blocking the cave entrance could no longer withstand it. It exploded apart with a thunderous crash, and that sound finally jolted Xiao Yan out of his intoxication with rapidly rising power. "This is bad. I've already reached the middle stage of 5-star Dou Di. I can't let it keep rising, or the loss will outweigh the gain." With that shout, he immediately slowed the rate at which he absorbed Origin Emperor Qi. After a while, the jade bead, now shrunk to nearly half its original size, stopped spinning and fell back into his hand. Xiao Yan gave a bitter smile. "Still ended up at the late stage of 5-star Dou Di. Good thing I didn't break through to 6-star Dou Di. Otherwise, just solidifying the Origin Emperor Qi in my body would have taken who knows how long." Over the next 2 days, Xiao Yan wandered around the area without encountering a single magical beast. That left him both pleased and anxious. Pleased, because not running into any beasts before mastering an emperor art was naturally for the best. Anxious, because without battle it would take longer to fully solidify the Origin Emperor Qi in his body. Fighting was the quickest way to become familiar with his new power. He had also considered refining pills but quickly gave up on the idea. In this great world, he did not even know the most basic methods of alchemy, much less any pill formulas. There was simply no way for him to refine anything properly. Even so, he discovered many herbs in the forest that could be used to refine 9th-tier golden pills. With his current strength, producing that level of pill was effortless. After ruining countless medicinal plants, Xiao Yan finally managed to figure out one pill formula and its refining method. During those few days, he refined more than 20 recovery Qi pills. Those were the pills he had succeeded in producing by chance, capable of slightly speeding up the recovery of Origin Emperor Qi. Through 2 days of alchemy, the Origin Emperor Qi in his body was finally fully solidified. Now it was time to cultivate Flame Dragon Rush. Seated quietly atop a massive boulder, the young man in black held the red scroll in his hands, committing every word on it to memory. Flame Dragon Rush. A beginner fire-attributed Emperor art. Gather Origin Emperor Qi within the meridians of both arms, connect it to the mind, and release it. At full mastery, it becomes a fire dragon 99 feet long. Wherever the dragon's roar passes, not a blade of grass remains. The introduction was only a few short lines. The rest consisted of the cultivation method and detailed instructions. Wrapping the scroll in his soul power, Xiao quickly read through every word with great care. Following the method written within it, he guided the Origin Emperor Qi in his body into the meridians of both arms. The energy slowly traveled along the required pathways toward his palms. Just as it was about to arrive, both his hands trembled slightly. The advancing Origin Emperor Qi instantly scattered and began roaming through his body again. He frowned, then gathered the Origin Emperor Qi once more and drove it toward his palms. Through 5 failed attempts, Xiao finally succeeded in condensing the energy into both hands. Soon, his palms began to glow with a faint red heat. Instead of being alarmed, he was delighted. With a thought, even more Origin Emperor Qi began coursing rapidly through the meridians. About a minute later, 2 tiny flames only a few inches long sprang from his palms. They swayed like little fire snakes. Looking at the 2 fire snakes, which were not even as long as a finger, Xiao let out a bitter laugh. With a release of Origin Emperor Qi, the 2 small flames dispersed into wisps of smoke. He stared at the smoke slowly fading away and let out a soft breath. Closing his eyes again, he replayed the cultivation method in his mind once more. Half a moment later, when he opened his eyes again, 2 flaming snakes nearly 10 feet long had already appeared in his palms. Their forms were still somewhat blurry, but there was already a trace of ferocity about them. Nodding in satisfaction, Xiao dispersed the fire snakes. Feeling that the Origin Emperor Qi inside him was still abundant, he murmured, "So the scroll was right. There really is a reason you need to be above 5-star Dou Qi to cultivate this. Without thick enough Origin Emperor Qi, you really couldn't endure this kind of strain." Time passed in the blink of an eye. Before he knew it, Xiao had already remained in this area for nearly half a month. By now, he could control his greatly increased strength with ease. His greatest gain had been the cultivation of Flame Dragon Rush. Through non-stop practice these past days, although he had not yet reached the full 99-foot perfection described in the scroll, he had already managed 5 or 6 dozen feet. Naturally, its power had increased quite a bit as well. On an open patch of land, Xiao swung both hands through the air, controlling 2 fire dragons more than 50 feet long. They moved with the wind, and in the faint distance it almost sounded as if dragon roars could be heard. With a light motion of his hands, the 2 fire dragons shot forward like arrows loosed from a bow, turning into 2 blazing pillars of flame that slammed hard into a giant tree not far ahead. With a boom, the thick tree shuddered, then crashed heavily to the ground. Center had been completely blasted into ashes by the twin dragons. Not bad. It really is much stronger than a heaven-class Dou skill. Looking at the fallen tree, Xiao clicked his tongue and nodded in approval. Back then, when he struck with Yellow Spring Palm, a move strong enough to exterminate any Dou Sheng in the lower world, it had only made a tree no thicker than his thigh sway a few times. That alone was enough to show the gap between a Dou skill and an Emperor art. And above Emperor arts, there were still even more powerful techniques like Emperor formulas and Emperor laws. Who knew how frightening those must be? With a flick, 2 fire dragons appeared in his hands again. Under his control, their massive bodies rapidly shrank until they became the size of 2 fire snakes. Now Xiao stared intently at the pair of little fire snakes in his hands. His heart settled, and he slowly brought both palms together. The moment the 2 fire snakes touched, a faint cracking sound rang out from between his palms. Xiao gritted his teeth. Soul power poured from the top of his head like a tide, tightly wrapping around the space between his hands as he focused with all his might on fusing the 2 flames. But he managed to hold on for only a brief moment before the two little fire snakes exploded apart between his palms. The violent energy slammed into Xiao Yan, forcing him back 3 or 4 steps. Both of his palms were scorched black in places. Flame Dragon Rush was not a move where each hand held a separate fire dragon to fight the enemy. Just like the fusion process of Angry Buddha Lotus Flame, the true form of Flame Dragon Rush required the perfect fusion of 2 fire dragons into one. Only then could it be called the real technique. And once that dragon reached 99 feet in length, it would be considered complete mastery. At that point, its power would be several times greater than it was now. Taking a deep breath, Xiao Yan summoned 2 fire dragons into his hands once more. With a slight sway, they shrank again into fire snake form. Looking at the 2 flickering strands of fire, Xiao Yan snorted in irritation. I can even fuse heavenly flames. You think I can't fuse the spirit flames of this technique? As he spoke, his soul power wrapped around both hands, controlling every tiny detail with extreme precision. Then he slowly brought his palms together again. Through more than 10 failures, he finally touched upon a subtle point of balance between the 2 fire snakes. Under Xiao Yan's delighted gaze, a fire dragon 6 or 7 dozen feet long and more than 20 feet thick appeared around his right arm, coiling tightly about it. I did it! My first emperor technique in the great world has finally reached small success. Xiao Yan looked forward. As far as his eyes could see, the endless forest still stretched on, layer after layer, filled with unknown horrors. The saint trial only truly begins now. A furious beastly roar suddenly echoed out. A figure flapped its wings frantically and fled this region at full speed, while behind him a gigantic stone ox charged in furious pursuit. With the stone ox's clumsy speed, it naturally could not catch Xiao Yan. Once the hateful human vanished from sight, the beast vented its rage by smashing down several large trees before finally roaring its way back into the depths of the forest. That old cow! I only took all the red infant fruits from its nest, and it chased me for half the day. Perched on a small tree over 30 feet tall, Xiao Yan looked toward the departing stone ox and let out a breath. As he spoke, he pulled a herb from his storage ring. More precisely, it was a fruiting plant. At its top, 2 tiny red fruits sat beautifully among 3 green leaves, supported by a stem only an inch long. Ever since Xiao Yan had discovered one by chance and learned that it could be used to refine pills that increase the absorption of Origin Emperor Qi, he had been searching for more. When he found several hundred red infant fruits inside a cave, he had immediately collected them all without hesitation. Just after he finished, the cave's owner returned, a stone ox with the strength of a 7-star Dou Qi. The moment it saw its lair emptied out, its eyes turned blood red, and it had chased Xiao Yan for half the day. In the great world, Dou Qi was merely the transitional realm between the lower world and this one. Only by advancing into the Di-Shi realm did one truly become a cultivator of the great world. Because of that, beasts at the Dou Qi level were still called magical beasts, while only those above the Di-Shi level were considered spirit beasts. Spirit beasts were divided into 3 ranks, corresponding to the 3 major levels of human cultivators. Above high-rank spirit beasts were heavenly beasts, creatures even stronger than spirit beasts, some of which could already speak human language. The 5 beast cores Xiao Yan needed to obtain to complete the saint trial were more accurately called heavenly cores. They were the concentrated energy cores found inside mid-rank heavenly beasts, equivalent to a human cultivator's Origin Emperor crystal. Mid-rank heavenly beasts corresponded to Emperor-level human experts, beings with the power to soar through the sky and tunnel through the earth, whose every move stirred wind and clouds. Snapping out of his thoughts, Xiao Yan toyed with the red infant fruit for a moment before putting it back into his ring. It's already been more than 2 months since I was teleported into the forest domain. Even though I've already reached 6-star Dou Qi, Star Moon Spirit Domain is still unimaginably far away. As he spoke, he looked up through the dense leaves toward the sky and murmured, Suna Kailin, are you both all right? Star Moon Spirit Domain. Yunluo Academy. Wow, Sister Kailin, you've already broken through to 4-star Dou Qi? That was so fast. In an elegant pavilion, two breathtakingly beautiful women stood by the window. The girl with long flowing hair looked at the cold, stunning woman before her and laughed. Enough sooner. Don't tease me. Aren't you 4-star Dou Qi too? I only broke through the day before yesterday while you reached it around 10 days ago. Sooner giggled. I suppose that's true. But I wonder how brother Xiao Yan is doing now and what level he's reached. The moment she spoke Xiao Yan's name, worry also flashed through Kai Lin's eyes. Then she said, Don't worry. Xiao Yan has always had a big life. He'll be fine. By the way, where are Uncle Gu and Uncle Zhu? Oh, Father and Uncle Zhu both broke through to 5-star Dou Qi the day before yesterday. Today they went to the Emperor Technique Pavilion to look for suitable techniques. Hearing that, Kai Lin smiled. Back on the Dou Qi Continent, Uncle Gu and Uncle Zhu both remained at the 9-star Douxing level for thousands of years. Now that all that accumulation is finally bearing fruit, it's only natural. Sooner smiled as well. Father even said that if the academy hadn't given them special treatment because of brother Xiao Yan, they never would have reached 5-star Dou Qi so quickly. Kai Lin smiled faintly too. Xiao Yan. She lifted her head to look toward the mysterious sky above and softly whispered, You must come back safely. Moonlight poured down like water, spreading a faint silver glow across the quiet yet endless forest. From time to time, a beast's roar drifted out of the depths, adding a touch of gloom and danger to the stillness of the night. Inside a cave, Xiao Yan sat cross-legged with his eyes closed, resting quietly. Then suddenly, the moonlight in the sky seemed to be swallowed by dark clouds. Silver glow vanished, and the entire vast forest was covered by a massive shadow. Xiao Yan's expression shifted. He opened his eyes and stepped outside the cave, looking up at the sky. There he saw an enormous black bird blocking out the heavens. Shadow cast over the earth dimmed the entire forest below. Xiao Yan held his breath as he stared at the creature's gigantic body. With its wings spread, it spanned tens of thousands of feet. Its black feathers gleamed like refined iron, as though endless strength was packed into every one of them. Only after half a quarter of an hour did the black bird finally pass over the forest. Deep shock filled Xiao Yan's eyes. Before he had fully recovered from it, he suddenly heard the bird let out a sharp cry. Once it felt as though his skull were splitting apart, as if his head might explode. But then a soft shout rang out from somewhere, and the pain in his mind lessened significantly. Moments later, Xiao Yan heard an aged voice coming from the distant sky. Ancient Black Sparrow, our barbarian domain comes here with no ill intent. We are only here to test the strength of the younger generation in our clan. As the words rang out, a bronze warship over 3,000 feet long emerged from space itself, radiating an ancient and savage aura. Flames surged into Xiao Yan's eyes as he looked toward the bronze warship in the distance, but it seemed to be covered by a barrier of light that blocked his sight completely. Barbarian domain, which prince's estate are you from? After a moment, the black bird's voice rolled across the sky like thunder. The old voice hesitated slightly, then replied at once, I am Mankuan Nan of the Northern Barbarian Prince's estate. Northern Barbarian Prince's estate. The black bird fell silent for a moment, as if thinking. Then, without another word, it let out a long cry, spread its wings, and vanished after only a few flaps. The old voice on the bronze warship seemed to let out a breath of relief. Then the warship trembled once and disappeared once again into space. Only long after it was gone did Xiao Yan finally recover. He let out a long breath, and the shock in his eyes slowly faded. These are the true strong ones. Flame Dragon Rush. A furious roar rang out, and a fire dragon 6 or 7 dozen feet long burst from Xiao Yan's hand, slamming hard into the huge body of a powerful gray bear. The beast let out several pained howls, and the light gradually faded from its eyes before it finally collapsed unwillingly to the ground. Walking forward, Xiao Yan sensed the somewhat depleted Origin Emperor Qi in his body and could not help sighing. This big fellow only had late 6-star strength. Defeating it shouldn't have been hard. My cultivation method is still too weak. He casually tossed a recovery Qi pill into his mouth and began quickly restoring the consumed Origin Emperor Qi. It was certainly good news that the flame mantra had advanced into a mid-tier Emperor class technique. But it was still only mid-tier. After witnessing the overwhelming aura of that giant black bird and the old man aboard the bronze warship the night before, Xiao Yan knew that a mid-tier Emperor class technique was far too limited to give him the swift increase in strength he desperately needed. He simply could not afford to waste energy recklessly. In battle, he had to finish the enemy as quickly as possible. Otherwise, the one in trouble would be him. That was the greatest frustration Xiao Yan faced now. Through fully recovering his Origin Emperor Qi, he sensed that it had become slightly more solid than before and smiled faintly. This rate, in another dozen days or so, he should be able to break through to the middle stage of 6-star Dou Qi. Battle really was the best way to grow stronger quickly. After putting away the cracked Earth Bear's beast core, Xiao Yan turned and ran toward the other side of the forest. Although the heavenly phoenix wings still allowed him to fly several dozen feet above the ground, he deliberately avoided using them whenever possible. Running, too, was a form of training. The moment he crossed over a hill, his expression changed. But soon after, he gave a bitter smile. Below the slope, someone was fighting desperately against a magical beast. Xiao Yan's gaze swept over the man, who had a strong build but a dark and gloomy face, and he shook his head slightly. Isn't this guy just courting death? He's only a 1-star Dou Qi. He must be another self-trained cultivator like me. What rotten luck. He had just arrived in the forest domain and already ran into a magical beast at the peak of 4-star strength. Xiao Yan only watched. He had no intention of saving him. He could barely look after himself right now. Saving a 1-star Dou Qi and bringing extra trouble onto himself was the last thing he wanted to do. As expected, the 1-star Dou Qi fought with everything he had, but in the end, amidst a barrage of furious roars, he was easily killed by the magical beast that was close to 5-star strength. The moment Xiao Yan saw that, he rushed forward at once. Not to avenge the dead man, but simply to take the 5-star magical beast's core. The beast had just been preparing to clean up the corpse of the Dou Qi it had killed when it saw another human charging toward it. A trace of delight flashed through its eyes. It roared and lunged at Xiao Yan. Get lost! With a wave of his hand, Xiao Yan unleashed a fire dragon 6 or 7 dozen feet long. It roared through the air and slammed into the beast's massive body, knocking it back more than 10 meters. The beast roared again, its eyes turning blood red as it charged forward madly once more. It's only a mere 5-star Dou Qi magical beast. Don't tell me you think you can rebel against me. Xiao Yan used Flame Dragon Rush again, and at the same time he drew out the heavy Shen ruler, swinging it mercilessly down toward the beast's head. In the next instant, a sound like a watermelon being crushed exploded out, and the beast's skull shattered into pieces. Xiao Yan let out a cold snort. His left hand, wrapped in the purifying demonic lotus flame, plunged straight into the beast's chest. After fumbling for a moment, he pulled out a pale yellow beast core. Smiling faintly, he was just about to leave when he suddenly noticed an extremely faint soul drifting out of the beast's shattered head, clearly trying to escape. Xiao Yan reacted on instinct and grabbed it at once. The soul let out a sharp shriek and struggled violently, writhing in the purifying demonic lotus flame while screaming in agony. I thought only magical beasts from the lower world that had already taken human form would develop souls after reaching the Dou Qi level. How do the native magical beasts of the great world have souls too? Xiao Yan stared at the nearly extinguished soul inside the flames, stunned. There's only one explanation. This thing must have devoured another Dou Qi from the lower world before and, by chance, fused that soul into itself. A thoughtful look appeared in his eyes. Then he smiled faintly. Well then, a Dou Qi body, a beast core, and a Dou Qi soul. That's just enough to refine a Dou Qi puppet. With that, he stored the dead Dou Qi's corpse in his storage ring, sealed the dying soul inside a white jade bottle with a thread of Origin Emperor Qi, and then dashed toward the outer forest. Inside the cave, Xiao Yan laid out the corpse, the white jade bottle containing the soul, and the beast core from a late 5-star Dou Qi magical beast. A beast core from a 5-star magical beast was neither the best nor the worst. In Xiao Yan's view, a puppet refined from such materials would at most remain at the Dou Qi level. Whether now or in the future, it would not be of great help to him. Sooner or later, he would discard it, which meant there was no need to waste the finest beast core on it. Even so, he could not be careless. A thing like this could still save his life at a critical moment, and Xiao Yan would never gamble with his own life. A Dou Qi level puppet? I wonder if using the same method as the heavenly demon puppet will work. Might as well try. After sighing softly, Xiao Yan flicked his left hand, and the glass emperor flame instantly wrapped around the corpse. Once that was done, he closed his eyes. Just refining the body would take several days. During that time, the only thing he could do was cultivate patiently. Inside the cave, day and night rose and fell over and over, but Xiao Yan never stepped outside once. In front of him, inside the dazzling, multicolored flame, a shriveled corpse whose features had become unrecognizable was quietly being burned. Before he realized it, 5 days had passed. When the 6th day arrived, the flames refining the Dou Qi corpse inside the cave still had not gone out. The dried corpse inside them had already shrunk to less than half its original size. At a certain moment, Xiao Yan slowly opened his tightly closed eyes. 2 faint golden dragon-shaped flames flashed through his pupils like shooting stars. Stretching his body, he smiled. I didn't expect that during these days I would actually break through to the middle stage of 6-star Dou Qi. I can even vaguely sense the barrier to the late stage now. He felt the origin emperor Qi surging through him like a flowing river, smooth and powerful, and could not help laughing aloud. In less than 3 months, he had risen from 2-star Dou Qi to mid-6-star Dou Qi. He was already more than satisfied with that speed. Strength. Xiao Yan let out a soft breath and looked outside the cave at the vast, boundless forest. His fists clenched tightly. I will definitely return to the academy. That moment, many layers of determination seemed to settle over his sharp, slightly lean face. The body is finished too. He turned his head and looked at the 7-colored flames gradually fading away. With a gesture, the flame turned into a streak of light and entered his body. The refined corpse was then revealed fully. Its body was deathly pale, without the slightest trace of blood. Only the head still retained its original appearance. Xiao Yan had long since grown used to such things. His right hand clenched into a fist and struck rapidly at the corpse's chest and head, blasting open 2 fist-sized holes. Not a single drop of blood flowed out. With a flick of his hand, a faintly red beast core dropped directly into the opening in the corpse's chest. Then Xiao Yan took out the white jade bottle and removed the origin emperor Qi sealing its mouth. The moment the seal vanished, the extremely faint soul shot outward, trying to escape. Trying to run? Xiao Yan had long since covered the entire cave with his soul power, so he sensed the soul instantly. With a cold laugh, he flicked out a stream of flame that transformed into a fiery net. Amid the soul's terrified shriek, the net wrapped it tightly and dragged it straight into the opening in the corpse's head. After completing all of that, Xiao Yan refined it again with heavenly flame for several more days, until the once shriveled corpse returned to the strong, solid build it had at the beginning. Another 6 days flashed by. When Xiao Yan opened his eyes again, the corpse lying quietly on the ground suddenly twitched. Then it slowly opened a pair of golden eyes. After pausing for a moment, the body suddenly jumped to its feet and stood steadily in front of Xiao Yan, motionless. Xiao Yan looked over the puppet. Its appearance was mostly unchanged from before. Its eyes were empty, yet its powerful body seemed packed with strength. It has about the power of a late 6-star Dou Qi. Not bad. This puppet turned out rather well. Xiao Yan patted the puppet's firm muscles, left a soul imprint within it, and smiled. As for your name, let it be De. The puppet gave an expressionless nod and said in a stiff voice, De greets master. Satisfied, Xiao Yan nodded, stored D inside his storage ring, and felt the surging Origin Emperor Qi in his own body. Excitement appeared on his face. The matter of the puppet is settled. Now I can try breaking into the late stage of 6-star Dou Qi. Through exhaling softly, he glanced at the boulder blocking the cave entrance, considered for a moment and then moved it aside. Feeling the Origin Emperor Qi in the area flow more freely, Xiao Yan flicked a finger, and Di appeared instantly at the entrance, standing there motionless, his emotionless eyes fixed on the outside. After giving him strict guarding orders, Xiao Yan sat down cross-legged and slowly closed his eyes. With a thought, he mobilized the Origin Emperor Qi in his body and sent it coursing rapidly through his meridians. At the same time, the Origin Emperor Qi filling the cave seemed to hear a summons and slowly began drifting toward him. Pink flames rose from Xiao Yan's body. Although much of the surrounding energy was burned away after passing through the flames, what remained became far purer. Pores across Xiao Yan's skin opened wide, greedily absorbing the refined Origin Emperor Qi. Under his control, the energy entered his body, flowed through all his meridians, and gathered into the Origin Emperor crystal within his dantian. At the same time, the refined energy within the crystal circulated back through his body, strengthening his bones and cells. Breath in, breath out, a perfect great cycle. Just as Xiao Yan felt he was about to break through the barrier to late 6-star Dou Qi, a furious roar exploded outside. In the very next instant, De was smashed back into the cave wall, causing stones to crash down everywhere. Another roar followed. A giant white ape with 4 massive arms and blood-red eyes filled with killing intent was slowly approaching the cave, growling low as it came. With a boom, De, who had been sent flying by the ape's punch, climbed back up, stomped on the ground, and rushed forward again. The giant ape flashed with anger and swung a massive fist at him. Their fists collided hard. With a deafening crash, De was blasted backward like a cannonball, flying several dozen feet before slamming heavily into the ground. The giant ape beat all 4 fists against its chest and gave a triumphant howl. Then it turned toward the cave entrance. Amid the swirling dust, a young man in black stepped out. Xiao Yan's eyes were filled with helplessness. Just moments ago, he had been on the verge of breaking through into the late stage of 6-star Dou Qi. Then this giant ape had roared, shaking his concentration and ruining everything. He looked at the beast before him. In its huge copperbell eyes burned uncontrollable fury. Xiao Yan gave a bitter smile. His luck really was poor. It seemed this cave he had chosen happened to be the creature's nest. The giant ape confirmed at once that there really was a human inside its cave. Its eyes immediately turned crimson, and with a furious roar it charged straight at him. Xiao Yan sighed inwardly. This beast should have the strength of an early 8-star Dou Qi. With his own power only at the middle stage of 6-star Dou Qi, defeating it would not be easy. His body flashed, dodging the enraged strike with agility. The ape became even more furious. Snorting heavily through its nostrils, it rushed at him again. Damn it! You're only an early 8-star magical beast. Don't act like you're invincible. Xiao Yan's temper rose as well. He swung his right hand, and a 10-colored fire lotus drifted out soundlessly before streaking toward the giant ape in a burst of dazzling flames. The ape let out a low growl and threw a punch straight at it. The fire lotus exploded instantly, filling the area with smoke. The moment the lotus left his hand, Xiao Yan retreated rapidly. With a thought, a fire dragon around 70 feet long appeared in his right hand. Flame Dragon Rush. With a roar, Xiao Yan sent the dragon shooting like a meteor straight into the smoke. A thunderous impact followed from within. It had clearly struck the ape head-on. Xiao Yan's eyes lit up. He had just summoned out Little E when the giant ape came storming out of the smoke with a furious roar. Its blood-red eyes locked tightly on Xiao Yan in the distance, its chest heaving violently. Snowy white fur had been scorched black in many places. One arm in particular was badly injured. All the fur there had been burned away, exposing blood-red muscle beneath, and blood dripped steadily from the wound. Seeing that his attack had truly injured it, Xiao Yan finally relaxed slightly. Fortunately, the beast's defensive power was not completely monstrous. If it could be hurt, then it could be defeated. After fusing the Glass Emperor flame with the 9 profound golden thunder, its power had increased beyond comparison. If Xiao Yan had not already forged himself into the true body of a Dou Qi, the Glass Emperor flame alone would have devoured him long ago. More importantly, although this giant ape was stronger than he was, his heavenly flame seemed to suppress it completely. That thought, Xiao Yan increased the speed of Origin Emperor Qi circulation inside his body, and the flames around him immediately blazed more intensely. By then, the giant ape had already charged in, 2 fists guarding its body while 2 more clenched tightly and hammered toward Xiao Yan with terrifying force. Though its body was enormous, it was not slow at all. In just a few breaths, it had already closed the distance between them. The huge fist was just about to strike Xiao Yan when a brilliant wall of flame suddenly appeared in front of him. The terrifying punch crashed into the fire wall, making it tremble violently. The ape quickly realized that the force in its fist was being rapidly dissolved by the flames. Panic flashed in its eyes. With an angry roar, it hurriedly retreated several steps, staring at the fading wall of flame in front of Xiao Yan with wary eyes. Although Xiao Yan had blocked the blow, the enormous impact still sent him sliding back dozens of steps. His chest tightened painfully, and he forced down the surging blood within. He glanced at the giant ape, then directly tossed several recovery chi pills into his mouth and took out the heavy Xian ruler from his storage ring, something he had not used in a long time. Gripping the ruler tightly, he felt the faint chill running through its handle and let out a slow breath as the Origin Emperor Qi in his body began circulating once more. The giant ape growled low. Then, incredibly, it ripped a tree from the ground beside it, one thicker than Xiao Yan's waist, and began swinging it wildly with all 4 arms. A ruthless light flashed through Xiao Yan's eyes. Seeing the beast charge in with the tree raised overhead, he gave the heavy Xian ruler a slight shake, and fierce flames instantly wrapped themselves around it. The moment the giant trunk came smashing down toward his head, Xiao Yan swung the ruler up and met it head-on. The heavy Xian ruler struck the tree with a sizzling shriek, slicing half of it away. But the recoil of the blow forced Xiao Yan back several steps. The brute strength of magical beasts really is terrifying. The ape, however, only swayed slightly. Cold light flashed in Xiao Yan's eyes. He took the initiative and rushed forward. Mid-charge, he suddenly shot up into the air. The ape was startled. It looked up into the canopy of giant trees overhead, but could not see Xiao Yan's shadow anywhere, and it began roaring restlessly. Then, by instinct alone, it threw its left fist upward. But before the punch arrived, a black heavy ruler had already smashed into the same injured spot on its body. Having landed the blow, Xiao Yan shook both shoulders and, with the help of the heavenly phoenix wings, barely avoided the ape's enraged punch. Even so, the fierce force of the beast's fist still grazed his left shoulder. Xiao Yan's face changed at once. When he landed, he sucked in a breath sharply. His left shoulder felt almost numb. A bitter smile rose in his heart. Dou Qi was divided into 9 stars. After 9-star Dou Qi, one condensed qi into Dao and entered the Di-Shi realm. Among the 9 stars, 1 to 3 were the early stage, 4 to 6 the middle stage, and 7 to 9 the late stage. Fighting across 1 star within the same stage was still manageable. But fighting across an entire stage was much harder. In the Great World, only Dou Qi who had entered the late stage were considered true Dou Qi. A single 7-star Dou Qi could easily defeat 2 or 3 6-star Dou Qi. And this giant ape before him had the strength of an 8-star Dou Qi. Just one brush of its fist wind against his shoulder had left the entire area numb. The gap between him and the ape truly was enormous. This battle was going to be exceptionally difficult,